back to breaking news programming as we look through the IIP numbers. Slight disconnect actually, because the headline numbers come in at 3.6%, but the only bit of weakness is there in capital goods, which is down 18%, but we expected it to be. The consumer goods numbers are fine, 11% at the headline on consumer goods. Consumer durables is at 23.4. Consumer non-durables actually on a low base is pretty strong, 6% plus. So the only weakness that's showing up is perhaps in the intermediate goods, which have come in at 8.4%. So maybe the market was building in a slightly higher number on intermediate goods. But other than that, if you look beyond the headline number, there isn't that much in terms of divergence from trend or specific weakness in any one particular spot. But of course, you'll have to look through the final and the fine print of the numbers to see where that slight underperformance has come in comparison to market expectations. The trend remains firmly one of moderation, not of collapse. So when you see a market reaction suddenly, and if you pull up the Sensex Nifty intraday, when you got that 3.6% number, there was a sudden downside on the markets. I think the markets are just reacting to the expectation versus the actual. The actual is not bad. It's just not great, but it's not bad either. That's the Sensex. It's off about 129 points right now. Let's get an industrial voice in this as well. Rohtash Mal is ED and CEO of the agri-machinery group of Escorts. They have their hands on the pulse of the rural market, but also the urban consumers. So the perfect person to speak to as always. Thanks so much, Mr. Mal, for joining us. Let me get your thoughts. We are seeing moderation. Is it filtering through for the industry at all in terms of order books, in terms of pace of growth, or is the industry sort of taking it in a stride? And these numbers have been very volatile, so we always sort of tend to take them with a pinch of salt.
With the shaker of salt era, I'm not an economist, so I can't tell you, the fine connections between the numbers, but I think these numbers have come in on expected lines. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay, sorry, I thought you went off. Okay, so the numbers have come in on expected lines. However, what I do see is in line with trend, and they are showing some kind of a moderation. Having said that, in the sectors that we are represented in, I do see the same growth rates that we had forecast 6 months, 5 months, 4 months ago playing through. Your non-durable numbers seem to suggest, yes, there is a moderation there. Consumer durables are good. And speaking for the sectors that we are involved in, i.e. automotive, tractors, as well as in construction equipment, we are seeing buoyant growth rates. There has been a slight decline in the growth rate per se, from maybe 25 to 22 or 23%, but it's still very, very healthy.
So, sir, let me just sort of slice and dice a little bit. In the rural side of the economy, where of course you do a fair amount of business, what's the picture on the ground? Is there still strong demand thanks to a strong monsoon? Is there a strong income level, strong sentiment, which is translating into strong demand for goods like, say, tractors and other agri-machinery items?
Yes, the sentiment is strong. The agriculture output is good. This particular crop looks like a record. The minimum support prices are in position. Farmers are getting better prices. More importantly, there has been a significant expansion in the credit for buying tractors and equipment like that to the farmers. So I think all the lights are green on this one.
But on the urban side, sir, and you've been hearing from your industry colleagues, your work colleagues as well, there's been forever, for months now, we've been talking about a moderation in auto demand. It doesn't seem to happen. What's the trick there? What's keeping it sort of buoyant in the face of higher interest rates?
You will appreciate that a lot of this demand over the last maybe 12 months, 16 months has been fueled by a tremendous amount of debt being put into retail finance. So it's getting easier to buy. I do fear sometimes whether this massive expansion of retail finance will lead to some kind of a bad debt situation in the years to come, but I think it's less likely. So having been fueled by retail finance, this is looking good. However, I do see some signs of the auto sector now not talking about 30% and 25%. And I think there are two things. It is assumed that these growth rates will not last, so good times will not roll forever. And the second is, this is bound to sort of, this spurt is bound to stabilize over a period of time. So I think some moderation will set in.
And that moderation would probably be healthy, and that's a good cautious point on strong finance, retail finance, which has been driving growth. Mr. Mal, thanks so much as always. It's always a pleasure to get your views on some of these macro issues as well. I'm going to get one quick voice in from the economic side. DK Joshi is the principal economist at CRISIL. He's joining us with his thoughts as well.